Paradox Pokemon Future Edition. Let's jump right in and have a look at the future Paradox Pokemon. These Pokemon will eventually make their way into Pokemon Go, so let's dive right in and have a look at them. All future Paradox Pokemon have a metallic appearance and seem almost robotic and chrome-like in appearance. While it isn't easily noted from their official artwork, they are all somewhat reflective like metal, and the chrome nature of their skin is obvious in Pokemon Violet. They all share the Quark Drive ability, other than Miraidon, which has the Hadron engine, and their abilities involve the effect of electric terrain in battle. All future Paradox Pokemon have the word iron in their names. While Miraidon may not have iron in its name, it is referred to as a name with iron in it. Even though they are all referred to as iron, only one of the future Paradox Pokemon is part Steel type. All of them are physically shorter than their original forms, except for Miraidon. Miraidon is the Pokemon Violet exclusive legendary and is considered a futuristic form of Cyclizar. Much like a Rhydon, it can also be ridden, but instead of running, the wheel-like protrusions from its throat and tail become wheels, and their legs become engines, like that of a jet. It is more technological in appearance with smoother metallic-looking skin and electricity emitting from its head. It is a dual electric and dragon type and is also known as the Iron Serpent. You can obtain a second Miraidon in the post-game story. It will likely feature as a legendary 5-star raid boss when it debuts in Pokemon Go. Their Pokédex entries read as follows. In Scarlet, much remains unknown about this creature. It resembles Cyclizar, but it is far more ruthless and powerful. Violet classifies it as this seems to be the Iron Serpent mentioned in an old book. The Iron Serpent is said to have turned the land to ash with its lightning. Looking at other Paradox Pokemon, in Pokemon Violet, Iron Treads is the only other Paradox Pokemon you can encounter outside of Area 0. It has consumed Herba Mystica to become the Quaking Earth Titan and has an ancient Paradox counterpart known as Great Tusk. Both resemble Donphin but have no known pre-evolution. It is a dual ground and steel type Pokemon. Iron Treads is the only future Paradox Pokemon that is steel type. In Scarlet's Pokédex, it says this Pokemon closely resembles a scientific weapon that a paranormal magazine claimed was sent to the planet by aliens. In Violet, it says sightings of this Pokemon have occurred in recent years. It resembles a mysterious object described in an old expedition journal. Iron Bundle appears to be a futuristic form of Delibird and is dual ice and water type. It is incredibly robotic in design, and rather than carrying a bag of presents, it may be carrying a snow globe that is attached to its body via cables. It has the fastest speed stat of all ice type Pokemon and all Paradox Pokemon. The original prototype of Delibird, known as Jefuto, was a water Pokemon, so it may be a reference to Jefuto. Scarlet's Pokédex entry reads as follows. Its shape is similar to a robot featured in a paranormal magazine article. The robot was said to have been created by an ancient civilization. In Violet, it resembles a mysterious object mentioned in an old book. There are only 2 reported sightings of this Pokemon. Iron Hands is the futuristic version of Hariyama, keeping a very similar design to Hariyama, but in a more cyborg-inspired way. It is a fighting and electric type Pokemon. Iron Hands has the highest base HP stat of all fighting type Pokemon, all electric type Pokemon, and all Paradox Pokemon. the highest base attack stat of all Paradox Pokemon, and the lowest base special attack and speed stats of the Paradox Pokemon. In Scarlet, it says it is very similar to a cyborg covered exclusively by Paranormal magazine. The cyborg was said to be the modified form of a certain athlete. Violet says this Pokemon shares many similarities with Iron Hands, an object mentioned in a certain expedition journal. Definitely the Paradox Pokemon I am most looking forward to encountering. Iron Jugilis is the dark and flying futuristic version of Hydreigon. Like Hydreigon, it has 6 wings, but they appear quite spider-like and tattered. It has LED eyes, and unlike Hydreigon, the 2 smaller heads can also emote and have similar eyes. Their Pokédex entries for Scarlet reads, it resembles a certain Pokemon introduced in a Paranormal magazine, described as the offspring of a Hydreigon that fell in love with a robot. Interesting. Violet says, it's possible that Iron Jugilis, an object described in an old book, may actually be this Pokemon. So many questions. Iron Moth is the future Paradox version of Valcarona, and it has an ancient Paradox counterpart in Slitherwing. Iron Moth is tied with Slitherwing for having the smallest increase in base stat total from its original version of Valcarona, with an increase of nearly 20 points. It is a fire and poison type, and their wings appear to levitate by their body rather than being attached to it. This design leads to speculation that it is a UFO controlled by alien life forms, particularly due to its similarity to satellites. What do you conspiracy theorists out there think? Pokédex entries for Scarlet reads, this Pokemon resembles an unknown object described in a Paranormal magazine as a UFO sent to observe humanity. Violet says no records exist of this species being caught. Data is lacking, but the Pokemon's traits match up with an object described in an old book. Iron Thorns is a rock and electric type future Paradox version of Tyranitar. This is the one I've been waiting for. Parts of its torso are transparent and can be seen to glow, much like the retractable spikes on its back. Unlike many of the other future Paradox forms, Iron Thorns is said to be level-headed and calm, avoiding unnecessary fighting when possible. It is thought to be incredibly intelligent. Their Pokemon entries are, Scarlet says, it has some similarities to a Pokemon introduced in a dubious magazine as a Tyranitar from 1 billion years into the future. Violet says some of its notable features match those of an object named within a certain expedition journal as Iron Thorns. Iron Valiant is our next futuristic Paradox Pokemon. It is unique in that it appears to be based upon 2 Pokemon, both Gardevoir and Gallade, in particularly both of their mega evolutions. It is speculated that it could be the result of a scientific experiment gone wrong, and it is a dual fairy and fighting type. At the time of writing, it has a totally unique type combination. It is considered the counterpart of Roaring Moon, as both share a base stat total of 590 rather than 570, like all the other non-legendary Pokemon. Scarlet's Pokédex entry says it has some similarities to a mad scientist's invention covered in a Paranormal magazine. Violet says it's possible that this is the object listed as Iron Valiant in a certain expedition journal. Iron Leaves is a future Paradox Pokemon that was a surprise release on Pokemon Day as part of the reveal of new DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It is a grass and psychic type that first appeared in limited Terra raid battles. It is quite similar to Virizion in design, but is a more futuristic robotic version. It was teased in a book in the library in Scarlet and Violet in a sketch done by a scientist who had visited Area Zero. It has the ability Quirk Drive, but currently has no known Pokédex entry. Wow, so definitely picked the winning combination here. I picked Scarlet for my Switch game. Super stoked for all of these futuristic Pokemon eventually coming to Pokemon Go. Which one is your favorite, or are you heading towards the older versions of these Pokemon? Let us know in the comments down below. But before you click another link, don't forget to leave us a like, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.